Hello friends, welcome to this new lecture video on the Indian Express discussion. Okay, so we'll going to do the headlines first. Okay, so in headwinds, budget says the course batters markets with tax. Okay, so this is the entire page is more or less is about the budget. Okay, so we'll explore the important things from this 2026-27 budget. Okay, so let us dive into the discussion. So the first thing that we need to study is about weights on new economy, manufacturing, but no push for foreign capital. Okay, so let us see. Well, in the face of global headwinds, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has chosen to stay the course, take a string of measures to shore up manufacturing, and continue to do heavy lifting on core infrastructure spending, indicating continued suboptimal support from the private sector. The budget may be lacking on ambitious decisions in the second year of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's third term in office, but Sitharaman tries to make up for this by actions such as modest fund allocations to some industries, customs duty cuts on inputs, custom duty cuts on inputs for some others hit by U.S. tariff, and scaling schemes to tackle the unemployment problem. All this will take time to play out and add more muscle to the economy. Moreover, a lot depends on effective execution of the many schemes and programs. The budget probably recognizes this and it shows only a 10% GDP growth. Now, let us see this side. Okay, so Trump tariff shadow budget addresses US demands, backs vulnerable sectors. Now, the Union Budget 2026-27 has accommodated several US focused demands raised during ongoing trade or negotiations while upping support for the most tariff vulnerable sectors such as textiles, footwear, and marine products. The aim is to prepare them for diversification in the face of 50% US tariffs. While the US trade in the face of 50% US tariff, while the US trade deal remains elusive, other markets are set to open up following implementation of trade deals, particularly the UK and the EU. In her budget speech, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced a tax holiday until 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using center services from India, a move that directly benefits top American companies in expanding their foothold in India. Okay, so this is important. That is the tax holiday until 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using data center services from India, a move that directly benefits top American company in expanding their foothold in India. The budget has also proposed the elimination of duty on aircraft components and nuclear generation equipment. So, budget has also proposed the elimination of duty on aircraft components and nuclear generation equipment. The US is the global market leader in the aviation sector and is one of the largest exporters of the nuclear reactor components. Further, the domestic sector, Sitharaman announced a host of measures, particularly in the textile sector, to increase productivity, including capital support for textile machinery in clusters and a targeted scheme to boost the availability of input items, uh, a long-standing challenge. Now, let us see here. So, higher tax share for South states, higher tax share for South state, Hindi heartland states see dip. Okay, so the five southern states of Karnataka, the five southern states of the five southern states of Karnataka, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Tamil Nadu will see an increase in their allocation from divisible pool full of taxes as recommended by the 16th Finance Commission, while the five heartland states ruled by BJP and its allies Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan will see a significant decline. Increase in share. So this is the 15th Finance Commission. This is the 16th Finance Commission. As per divisible pool of 15.226 lakh crore for the fiscal year 2026 to 27. So Kerala is going to get around 4.131%. Sorry, Karnataka, then Kerala 2.3 382, then Andhra 4.217, then Telangana 2.174, and Tamil Nadu 4.097. Okay, so that is a tremendous change that is going to happen. Yes, yes. So that is the thing. Southern states have been demanding a higher share from the finance commission, citing their better performance. Okay, so 16th Finance Commission. So we need to focus on the 16th Finance Commission. That is a big thing that is going to happen. Okay, so there is an increase in the share. Okay, higher tax share for the southern states and in the heartland states CT. Okay, so 16th Finance Commission recommendation. Finance Commission recommendation. Just write down 16 Finance Commission topics that we need to prepare for prelims. So 16 Finance Commission recommendation. Then we also need to prepare what we call the budget 26 to 27. Now let us see, is there anything else that we need to discuss? Yes. Now India's stock market. Just a minute. Here we are. Now, transaction tax hike to curb speculation in FNO, but its value of volumes were already down. Now, India's stock markets slumped 22%, 2% Sunday as budget 2026-27 proposed a hike in the security transaction tax (STT) for futures and options (FNO) in an attempt to further curb what government officials call speculative trading, with the absence of any immediate positive results, also dampening sentiment. So this is the thing now. Trump says India will buy Venezuela oil, a new window after Iran, Russia. Okay. So Russia President Donald Trump has claimed India will purchase crude oil from Venezuela instead of Iran, and that the deal or the concept of the deal to allow this is in place. While there was no official response to Trump's comments, sources said that the decision to buy oil is based on market dynamics that has been the government's position. Okay. Now corridor to future high-speed rail freight one for rare earths. Seven high-speed corridors to be just a minute. Seven speed corridors to be growth connectors, rare earth corridors for mineral rich states to boost mining. Now let us see, this is important. A major boost for connectivity. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Sunday announced seven high-speed rail corridors that will be developed as growth connectors. She also announced a new dedicated freight corridor connecting Dankuni in West Bengal to Surat in Gujarat, and rare earth corridors in mineral-rich states to promote mining, processing, research, and manufacturing. For our environmentally sustainable system, we will develop seven high-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connectors, namely Mumbai, Pune, Pune, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bengaluru, Delhi, Varanasi, Siliguri. Sitaraman said in her budget speech. India is currently developing its first high speed rail corridor, the bullet train project between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. The first stage, Surat Bilimora, is scheduled to be operational by August 15. So the first stage, which is Surat Bilimora, is scheduled to be operational by August 15, 2027. The entire corridor is scheduled to be operational by 2029. Addressing a press conference later, Railway Minister Aswani Vaishnav said these seven new high-speed corridors are estimated to cost about, so we'll see this. Okay, so growth corridors. Okay, so here you have growth corridors. Okay, so basically the first one is from growth corridors. First one, there will be seven high speed corridors. Okay, railway, basically rail corridor. Okay, so Mumbai Pune first, we will have to see there. Here Mumbai and Pune, then you have Pune to Hyderabad, then you have Hyderabad to Bengaluru, then you have Hyderabad Chennai, and uh, Chennai Bengaluru, and then Delhi to Varanasi, and then Varanasi to Siliguri. So that is the thing. See, the thing is that the entire this corridor, high speed corridor, is only centered to the south and the western India, not into the eastern or northern India. That is not a good thing. So basically, anyway, now 20 new national waterways connecting mineral rich areas, industrial sectors and ports. Okay, now rare earth corridors. Okay, rare earth corridors. So Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. East Coastal Industrial Corridor, Bihar, Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand, and Andhra Pradesh. So East-West Freight Corridor. So East-West Freight Corridor. This is the Surat and Dankuni. Surat and Dankuni. I think we have already underlined this. Yes. Surat and Dankuni. Where was it? Yes. So a new dedicated freight corridor connecting Dankuni in West Bengal to Surat in Gujarat. Okay. So this is also important. So we need to also write down this thing. Okay. Now, in first budget after Operation Sindur, 15% hike for defense. Okay. Capital outlay increased by 22%. Okay. So this is what we need to understand. Okay. So let us see. So in the first budget after Operation Sindur, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Sunday announced a 15% hike in overall defense budget for 2026-27, raising it to rupees 7.85 lakh crore, including a 22% increase in the capital outlay for modernization of armed forces. That is good thing. Yes, according to a Ministry of Defense (MODA) statement, the defense budget accounts for 14.67% of the government's total expenditure and is highest allocation among the ministries. Of the total allocation, rupees 2.1 lakh crore has been marked for the armed forces capital Uh, expenditure. This largely includes the purchase of new weapons, aircraft, warship, and other military hardware. In comparison, the capital outlay for 2025-26 was rupees 1.8 lakh crore. Of the total capital outlay, rupees 63,000 crore has been set aside for aircraft and aero engines, a big jump from rupees 48,000 crore. Okay, So budget has been increased for the defense. Okay, now we have a tutorial page as well. Okay, now what is happening today? So that is Gaia main water crossing Rafah is expected to reopen for Palestinian. So let us see. I think yes. So we have already see. Now let us see the important thing. 15% hike for defense corridor future. So based on bits on new economy manufacturing. Okay, so the budget 2026-27 is basically going to give significant importance to manufacturing sector. Why? Because you know that the manufacturing sector is the only sector which is going to provide in the future more jobs as compared to rest of the sectors. Okay, that is why government is trying to give incentives, provide incentive to manufacturing sector. Okay, let us explore this new. So in nominal terms for 2026, assuming inflation of 3 to 4%, this could translate into a real growth rate of more than 6 to 7%. The just me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, yes, I think now it's good. Yes. The modest growth estimates notwithstanding what is concerning is that the tax growth is estimated to be just over 7%, lower than the nominal growth rate for the future for the fourth year in a row. What hurt markets the most despite Sitaraman's prudence and fulfilling of the promise to keep the fiscal deficit below 4.5% of GDP in 2025-26 is to propose hike in securities transaction for tax for futures and options. This, along with the lack of positive triggers, led to a sharp drop of 1,546 points, or almost 2% in the BSE Sensex. This is the second biggest percentage fall on any budget day since 2014. Just 3 days ago, the Economic Survey 2025-26 had acknowledged drying up of foreign capital and a resulted weakening of rupee. Okay, so foreign capital is, so you know that the what the uh, economic survey highlighted that economic economic survey highlighted that there is a decrease in the foreign capital. Okay, foreign capital, and also they have highlighted that money is rupees is depressing, rupee is depreciating, rupees depreciating. Okay, so that is as a major concern. Okay, let us see more concern raising expectations. The budget would announce measures to lure global capital FDI and FII into India. This was valid. So were market hopes of a cut in long-term capital gains tax and restructuring of the withholding tax. With FIIs sunning Indian equities, the budget has tried to fall back on industrial persons residents outside India, largely NRIs and OCI cardholders. NRIs and OCI cardholders, they can now invest in equities of listed company. Now they can now invest. Okay, so they can invest in the equities of listed companies through portfolio investment scheme with the investment limit for an individual PRI under the scheme from 5% to 10%. Okay, so investment limit is 10% now from 5%. Okay, with an overall investment limit for an individual PRI is to 24%. Okay, so overall investment you can do 24%. Okay, so within this cost, just a minute. Within this constant, the budget also has hiked the allocation for capital expenditure by more than 10% to rupees 12.22 lakh crore, estimated at 4.4% of GDP in the next financial year. It's the highest in the last 10 years, coming as it does on top of 4% increase in capex in the current financial year compared with the actual capex in 2020-24. Analysts said that the capex for the next fiscal was probably for the first time higher than the net borrowings excluding saving. This shows that more assets are being created than liabilities being imposed on the next generation. The budget also marks the transition to debt to GDP ratio as the debt to GDP ratio as the fiscal anchor going forward. While the fiscal deficit for the next financial year is 4.3% of GDP, the debt to GDP ratio is estimated to be 55.6% for the next year compared with 56.1 in 2025 to 26. The target is to bring it to 50% or lower by 2030 to 31. While the fiscal deficit is projected to fall in the coming years, subsidies have in general shown a rising trend over the years. Food and fertilizer subsidies are pegged to be slightly lower in 2026-27 compared with the revised estimates of 2025 to 26, but lack of any reform to better target these have meant them remain at elevated levels of almost rupees 4 lakh crore or approximately 1% of GDP. In a bid to reduce dependence on China, budget has proposed dedicated rare earth corridors to promote mining, processing, and manufacturing of these mineral districts. As part of the capex push, Sitharaman also announced the development of seven high speed rail corridors as growth connectors growth connectors. Okay, so we have dedicated rare earth corridors. Okay, so let me write it down. Dedicated rare earth rare earth corridors to promote mining, processing, um, manufacturing of these knowledge states in knowledge states. Then we have a development of seven high speed corridors as growth connectors. Between the lines, a scheme that runs through the budget space is the need to create jobs. From a high-powered standing committee on education to employment and enterprise focused on services sectors to skills for healthcare. Jewish guys, Sitaraman highlighted the need to upgrade skills to provide job opportunities to millions of youth entering the workforce every year. Okay, so you have these things. Now, okay, there is a lot of things that we need to do today because yesterday budget was proposed, and because of which our job is to understand the budget very well. Okay, that is only possible when we do either budget or we are doing the newspapers. Okay, now this is the Trump tariff shadow. Okay, so US demand for tax break for data centers. As part of bilateral trade agreement negotiations, as part of bilateral trade negotiations, the U.S. had set a greater market access for its companies looking to establish their data centers in India. The demands are understood to have included tax breaks for affordable access to resources like land, energy, water, duty exemptions, and on some imports. With the announcement of a tax holiday until 2047 to foreign companies for setting up data centers in the country, the government has acted on one of the US key demands. Okay, so tax holiday until 2047 to foreign companies for setting up data centers in the country. Now, however, the tax rate comes with some riders. The companies would need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian seller entity. Okay, so that is good thing. The companies need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian seller entity. US demands in aviation, nuclear and data services. Okay. So, with the passage of sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy of transforming India Shanti Act 2025 and opening of private players to enter the operations side of the tightly governed nuclear power sector, the government had already addressed a key US demand. On Sunday, the budget proposed zero customs duty on nuclear generation equipment, absorber roads, and project imports for all the registered nuclear plants until 2035, signaling a long-term market access. In the aviation sector too, India has eliminated duties on the aircraft components and maintenance, repair, and operations inputs, benefiting U.S. aerospace firms and engine and maintenance suppliers. Okay, so concession for units in SEZ aimed at preventing job losses in the special economic zones. Sitaraman announced a special one-time measure to facilitate sales by eligible manufacturing units in SEZs to domestic tariff area DTA at concession duty rates. SEZs are zones, so especially special economic zones are zones which received a simplified system of official clearance and procedure and other duty benefits aimed at spurring investment and manufacturing. The budget announcement comes amid the distress calls from the SEZ units that completely depend on the US market and are on the verge of closure due to US tariffs under President Donald Trump. As many as 466 units have closed in the last 5 years in 7 SEZs across the country. According to data shared by the Commerce Ministry uh, in a written response to a Lokshma question, US tariffs have resulted in 2 consecutive months witnessing a decline in Indian goods exports September and October. Modernizing textile cluster. Amid concerns of irreversible damage to the textile sector due to tariffs and missed summer orders, Sitaraman announced an integrated proposal aimed at modernizing the sector, focusing on each segment of the supply chain. She announced the National Fiber Scheme for self-reliance in natural fibers such as silk, wool, and jute man-made fibers and new age fibers. Textile expansion and employment scheme to modernize the traditional cluster with capital support for machinery. Technology upgradation and common testing and certification. National Handloom and Handicraft Program to integrate and strengthen existing schemes and ensure targeted support for weavers and artisans. And Tech's Eco initiative to promote globally competitive and sustainable textiles and apparel. India's textile and apparel industry contributed 13% to industrial production 12% to exports, and about 2% to GDP. Roughly 80% of India's textile value chain is concentrated in MSME clusters, each with its own specialization. Duty structure in labor intensive sector. Duty structure in labor intensive sectors. After broad-based reforms, including the elimination of certain quality control orders, legal directives issued by the government, and the reduction of duty on key input items such as cotton, Sitaraman announced further easing of the duty structure. Indicating emphasis on labor-intensive sectors, he proposed to increase the limit for duty-free imports of specified inputs used for processing seafood products for exports so from current 1% to 3% of the free on board value of the previous year export turnover. Container shortage. Sitaraman announced rupees 10,000 crore container manufacturing scheme amid the continued shortage of large boxes essential for trade, as well as India's dependency on China for their supply. The allocation covers a 5-year period and is aimed at creating a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem. Now, Venezuela oil. So, over the past few years, particularly since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2000, so you know that the sorry, Trump claimed that India will buy the Venezuela crude oil, okay, in place of Russia and Iran sections, okay. So that is what it is new. This news continues. So sources in India's refining sector indicated that some Indian refiners would be keen to restart oil imports from Venezuela. Speaking to reporters aboard, sorry, speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One while flying to Palm Beach in Florida Saturday, Trump made the remarks while responding to question on whether China would recover money it had lent to Venezuela in exchange for oil supplies. After U.S. forces captured Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro early January, Trump had said that Washington would take control of Caracas oil sector and that the U.S. measures would pump in billions of dollars to revive the struggling Venezuelan oil industry and fix its broken oil infrastructure. Venezuela has Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves but accounts for less than 1% of global production. China is welcome to come in and would make a great deal on oil. We welcome China. We have already made a deal. India is coming in, and they are going to be buying Venezuelan oil as opposed to buying it from Iran. So we have already made that deal. The concept of the deal, Trump said. Notably, though India has not imported any Iranian crude for nearly 7 years now, following the reimposition of US sanctions on Tehran during the first Trump presidency. There has been some speculation on the likelihood of Iranian oil coming back to the international market in ease of regime change in Tehran following Iran's recent civil unrest. Meanwhile, India has not allocated any funding in this year's budget for Chabahar port in Iran as it faces challenges from the US in developing the port. In the last 5 years, India has been making an annual outlay of rupees 100 crore to the mega connectivity project in the Sistan Balochistan province in Iran's southern coast. It has got a waiver till April and is engaged with the US on its extension. India specifically, private sector refinery giant Reliance Industries was a regular buyer of Venezuelan crude prior to the imposition of US sanctions on Caracas in 2019. Following the sanctions, oil imports from Venezuela stopped within a month. As per India's official trade data, Caracas was New Delhi's fifth largest supplier of oil in 2019, providing close to 16 million tons of crude to Indian refiners. The bilateral trade between India and Venezuela was $6.40 billion in 2019-20, of which Indian imports, primarily crude oil, were worth $6.06 billion. Then, in October 2023, the US EU sanctions on Venezuela's petroleum sector, authorizing oil exports without limitation for 6 months. This led to RIL and a few other Indian refineries restarting oil imports from Venezuela. But imports then stopped as the sanction waiver was not extended by Washington after its understanding with the Caracas on conduct of fair presidential elections in Venezuela broke down. A few months later, RIL was able to restart Venezuela oil imports after obtaining a sanctions waiver from US. But in the summer of 2024, RIL halted oil imports from Venezuela after the Trump administration threatened higher tariffs on buying Venezuela crude. No Venezuela oil has been imported into India for months now. Okay, so now I think now we have seen we have already covered most of the new developments in the budget. Okay, I think not much things are left. Of course, the significant thing is that we need to cover is about the 16 Finance Commission. Yes. Okay, 16 Finance Commission. I think we have already noted it down. Okay. Now let's move to the next part. Okay, so we have comprehensively covered the budget part of the Indian Express. Okay. Now let us see. So there is, of course, dedicated, many page on the budget 2026-27. Okay, as it is the tradition of the Indian Express for providing the special pages on the budget. Okay, so we'll have to unfortunately look at all those things. Okay, but we will be doing one by one. Okay, not in haste. So we are just doing the headlines, so we will stop here. But before that, let me show you all those things that we need to cover today. Okay, so this is last bit that we are not interested in. Now here, explain section. Okay, after bits to post consumption, focus back on supply side. Okay, we'll have to understand. Then please meet union budget. Custom duty cuts will boost local manufacturing. Then social and agriculture. So sector by sector, we will have to see this. Okay, then then new economy. Okay, so economy, skills and job. Okay, then market and taxation. Oh my god, that's a good. Then trade, tariffs and reforms. Then manufacturing sector. Okay, then infrastructure, and then macroeconomy. Okay, so all these things are there. Okay, and let me show you the Indian Express part also. Okay, sorry, the Hindu part also. Okay, so this is the Hindu. Okay, so see the capex scale up. Okay, okay, so what they have covered, we have to also look at for that. Tax holiday for data center, that is the big thing. Okay, data center. Okay, now 10,000 crore process for biopharma. Okay, that is good thing. Then your new rural job scheme gets over 95,000 crore. Then post into major boost for defense. We have already seen this. Boost for short for education and skilling. We need to cover it. Rare earth corridors to cut China imports. So we have already covered this. 7 rare corridors to get green signal. We have already covered this also. Okay, so now editorial page you have, then opinion after so it is urban India. Okay, so that is thing need to cover. Okay, now 7 on eve of election, so this is not important. Okay, so I think most of the thing we have already seen. in the highlighted version. Okay, so we'll have to cover this. So let us start the discussion. Uh, so we'll wrap up this conversation here, and we'll start with the Hindu discussion on the budget in the next. Thank you.